Guys, I want to make this real simple for you. It doesn't matter who you are. Whether you're an athlete, a weekend warrior, or what they call a keyboard cowboy, AG1 is for you. I'm talking over 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients. Everything I just named in one scoop, guys. That's it. There's no guesswork. This is clinically studied nutrition that's going to support your immune system, your gut, your brain, and my favorite, your energy. I take this first thing in the morning, and guess what? I don't need to slam 3 coffees and a shot to get moving anymore. I feel energized, and I know I'm filling in the gaps that diet alone simply doesn't cover. AG1, it's gluten-free, it's dairy-free, it's vegan, paleo, keto, and there's less than 1 gram of naturally occurring sugar. Now here's the kicker. It's NSF certified for sport, so it meets the gold standard in independent quality and safety certifications. Friends, I've told you, you can't fake quality. And AG1 only sources the best ingredients possible. You would be hard-pressed to find a more complete supplement anywhere. AG1, 1 scoop once a day. That's how the pros do it. Go to drinkag1.com/Chael Sonnen. You're going to get a free welcome kit when you first subscribe. It includes AG1 travel packs and a free bottle of vitamin D. Thank you, AG1, for sponsoring today's video. An athlete and their injuries. This is a very big deal in MMA. I mean, in terms of this never goes away. I've never got it. I don't get it now. I've never understood it, but I do recognize the phenomenon. I do recognize that conceptually, an injured athlete after the fact, regardless if they won or if they lost, will get headlines and will get discussion. It seems like a private thing to me. We even have federal laws in this country where you cannot discuss injury. Like if you're a doctor, you can't go. It's called HIPAA violation. I'm just sharing. Like it's a really weird concept that somebody would be hurt and then come and speak about being hurt. Now we're overseen by the government. We're the only sport in America that is overseen by the government. And they do a really good job. And they do an extremely thorough job. From X-rays to MRIs to physicals. And the very final thing they do is they will straight up ask you to your face. Now this is to your face. This is after you've set the images of your shoulder and you've set the images of your brain and you've done an eye exam. This is after you've given them everything that they could want. They will then ask you to your face. They're right here with you and they'll say, Mr. Athlete, Mrs. Athlete, is there anything that we didn't cover that you have not yet disclosed? And for the fight to go on, Mr. Athlete and Mrs. Athlete must check that box no, sign, and date the bottom of it. Now, at that point, you would have perjury. It's a criminal offense. And I use these as an example just to tell you why I don't understand why anybody talks about an injury. I mean, we go to great lengths, including legality, to make sure that that doesn't happen. And an athlete after the fact wants to come out and tell you that they are injured, which, by the way, I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just sharing that statement goes in direct contradiction of the form that you filled out, signed, and dated. So, if you ever watch real sports, now, real sports, for the case of my definition, are sports that anybody can play, not little elitist clubs. Not for somebody that got a good deal and got born with the right DNA and got put in the right environment and happened to just naturally have a good level of discipline. The elitists that make it to the highest levels, let's move them aside and let's go look at real sports. PE class. What is done for extracurricular activities in junior high? Okay. If you ever watch those championship games, if you ever go watch those championship matches, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter if it's volleyball or if it's basketball or if it's a wrestling match. You're going to see one thing in common, which is when they're on the sidelines, they all have ice on something. When you watch these athletes, they got their fingers taped and they got their hand taped and Their mom put this thing around their hand and they got this pad on their elbow. They're all hurt. What's it got to do with anything? I mean, what does it possibly have to do with anything? None of our fans, none of you watching, get to say my elbow hurt. Whatever your profession is, whatever line of work you're in, none of you get to say my elbow hurts and therefore I'm not going to do it. But somehow that gets accepted not only within the professional athlete, within the professional fighter. And it's a part where I just get confused. Like, it's not as though I don't believe you. It's not as though when the fighter comes out and says that he's hurt, it's not like I don't believe him. I just expect him to be. I don't understand the concept. I wouldn't know what it feels like to feel great. And people always, hey, how you feeling? I feel great. I feel great. I feel fine. I'm hurt. I got enough. What difference does it make? I'm sick. I'm overtrained. I'm tired. Like, what difference does it make? You didn't ask me, hey, how you feeling? Like, it's not a real conversation. It's like the question of what's up. But 1 out of every 10 times you say what's up as a greeting that simply means hello, you meet some smartass in the group that tells you the sky and the clouds. It's the same thing with how you feeling. No one actually cares. It's not a real question. You're never going to feel great. At some point, it's just your turn. You're never going to be ready to fight. There is nothing you can do in this life that will prepare you to walk to a steel cage opposite a trained opponent. Nothing. So quit waiting for that time. Quit waiting to feel great. Just let me know when it's my turn. You don't have to ask me how I'm feeling, and I don't have to give you the answer. You don't have to ask me if I'm ready. That's another big one that you'll get asked on fight day. Hey, you ready? Everybody that sees you will say, hey, you ready? I'll never be ready. At some point, my music will hit and I'll make that walk. If you don't understand that concept, then you got to shut up. And now we got guys that are going back and forth on who was injured more. I'm trying to get my head around it. I'm just trying to understand what it means. We have Ankalaev and Pereira, and they're arguing about who was injured more. It's a very strange thing to lie about. It's a really weird thing to lie about, but it's not a weird thing to lie in reverse. It's not a weird thing to be hurt. Somebody says, how you feeling? And you say, great. That's just called having a positive attitude. That's just called being an upbeat guy. That's called being an optimist. That's what your answer should be. How do you feel? Never better. Every day, every situation, every hour of every minute. Are you tired? No, I'm never tired. Are you hurt? No, I'm never hurt. How do you feel? I feel great. That doesn't make you a liar. That makes you a positive person. But I am forced to question it, and I don't want to. I don't want to sit back and question Ankalaev or Pierre. These two guys are world champions. It's not a question, by the way, of who's tougher between them. They're dead even. They're 1-1. They went out in the ultimate proving ground to find out who's tougher. One night it was Ankalaev, and one night it's Pierre. Like, I don't feel that these guys are in conflict with each other. I just want to share the concept of injury with you, because there are limits to it. There is a point where you got to call BS. First off, if a guy is coming out and he is proclaiming an injury that he told the commission that he doesn't have. Now, this has never been tested in the history of ever. Never has a commission tested this. But you would see where there's a crime involved. If that athlete goes to a hospital after the fact, shares something with a doctor, or something pops up in an x-ray and he is given treatment, and that goes against the insurance policy that was for that night when that injury, in fact, was somewhere else, somebody gets put in handcuffs. Nobody wants to do that to anybody. So everybody just looks the other way. But I'm sharing with you, like, it's a really big deal. It's not a small deal. You then have your toughest opponent, which is the scale. There is nothing that you will do in combat that is harder than the scale. The fight itself is 15 minutes or less. If you're the really elite, the fight itself is 25 minutes or less. And it might be of complete torture. It might be, but it's still 15 minutes or it's 25 minutes. Making weight is a lifestyle choice that will stay with you 7 days a week, 24 hours a day from the time that you begin. It's a very, very challenging thing. You would need the best version of yourself. So we have these athletes that can beat the scale. Well, how'd you do it? You don't have some genie that pops out of a bottle. You don't have a magical way to do it. You got to go work that off. So how did you do it? Did you run? Did you jump rope? Did you do a mid-session? Did you work out on the heavy bag? Did you go for a walk? Did you go for a jog? What is it that you did? From a physical standpoint, what is it that you did? Because I have a very hard time as a human being believing that you could do whatever that was. Ride a bike, beat a treadmill, jump through, whatever that was. I have a very hard time as a human being believing that if you were injured, that you could have done what it took to make weight. You did what it takes to make weight, the hard thing, and now you're too hurt, or we're supposed to have sympathy that you walked out there and you competed. I just don't understand. I would never challenge that somebody's hurt. But I've also never watched an NCAA finals of any sport. I've never watched the Olympics of a medal match ever. Where if a camera turns to the athlete and he doesn't know what's on, he's limping around, oh, somebody's rubbing him out, oh, he's got ice up here, oh, he's got a certain cream over here, oh, he's over in the trainer and he's getting his hands taped. If you went through a training camp for MMA, where you're punching and kicking and wrestling and submitting, you should be hurt. It would be unreasonable to assume that somebody isn't hurt. But you sign a form swearing you're fine. To come out after the fact and try to act as though my injuries are greater than your injuries. Let me stop you right there. If you've got these tremendous injuries, just tell me. How'd you make weight? What exercise did you do where your body was not impaired and you were able to make weight? Tell me that.